Hello everyone. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the basic setup for the scene that you want to animate. So first, let's just switch to another workspace that shows the graph editor underneath. So if you go to workspace, click on here, and then go to animation. Then it's going to bring up the graph editor here, and you get to just change the size of the screen. The attribute editor by default is not here, so you can just click on this icon here. This is attribute editor. You might need that, and then you can just drag it until it shows up like this. Release it, then you have attribute in there as well. Okay, so the next thing would be I want to create like something like a background for this scene. So I'm going to start with going to modeling, polymodeling, shelf, and just click on this plane. So plane gets created, I make it really big, and then I assign a material to it, and I'm gonna change the color to something like this. I'm gonna change the name to SH for shader, and then BG for background. BG1. Next thing, I want to create like a sky dome or something so that whenever I rotate my camera, there is like a sky background. So to do that, I'm just going to create sphere and make it really big so it contains the whole scene. Then I'm going to go inside, and you can see that by default, this side is going to show up as dark. Okay. So one thing you can do is you can reverse the normals. That would be my suggestion instead of doing some other things, which is like two-sided lighting. So for the sphere, just make sure that you have enough like polygons on the sphere so that it shows as smooth. Okay, then you hit 3. Go to face mode, double click on one of the faces, so all the faces are selected. The thing that we're going to do now is that we want to just kind of invert, kind of put it inside out, the texture for this sphere. Like have the faces, the normal to be inversed. Okay. So I'm just going to shift right click and do face normals, reverse the normals. So now if I go to object mode, I go inside this scene, I can see that this is right. So the next thing would be I'm going to just create a material for that, and I'm just going to name this SH Sky. And for the background, I want it to be an image assigned to it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just going to select. I just downloaded the image of a cartoony like sky background from the internet, and I'm just going to assign that to this sphere. Right? And then I'm going to make this plane big enough so that it kind of expands outside of that sphere so that I don't see the edges, come on, of the ground that I'm in. And then I'm going to just put these two into one display layer and set it to be unreferenced so I cannot select them. Okay. All sounds good. Now I can just hide this grid. Okay. The next thing would be I want to create that wall that I have in the scene. So I'm just going to create a cube, move it over, scale it up, bring it above the floor. And I want to just put the pivot point in one of these corners so I can better adjust everything. So I'm going to hold down D, holding down V, I'm just going to snap this to this corner, And I'm gonna scale it in this direction and in this direction. That sounds about right. And I'm just gonna put it on the ground. And I want this to look kind of like nice and smooth, so I'm gonna just add some edge loops to this. Insert edge loop tool, I'm gonna do this, a little bit of this, this, and that should be fine. Okay, then I'm gonna go to object mode and hit 3. That's more like it. That's good. That's a good wall. I like that. And then I'm gonna change the background, actually the material on it. Ooh, I should have deleted the history first. I'm going to change this to something. You can apply textures to it too if you like. You can just create some UVs and get all fancy and create some textures for it. Then I'm going to change this, name this to SH wall. And then I'm going to come here and only I'm going to select this wall. And let's just select these two as well. I just selected the objects, not the rigged character. Then I'm going to go to edit, delete by type, not delete all by type, because this is going to break your rig. You don't want that. Delete by type, and then history. And then I'm just going to modify and freeze transformation of them. And I'm just going to rename this to PG. Save. What? PG, not PF. Okay. And I'm going to add this object to the layer and then set everything to be reference. This is all good to go. Kind of think that this sphere is big or the texture is just too small for that. You just scale it a little bit down. Let's go inside, see what we get. And you can always rotate this sky so you get the part of it that you want. You can just move it a little bit up and down, however you like. The reason that we're using the sky is because when you do the rotation of the camera and you move your scene around, you don't want to get any weird, like, edges for that, right? And that's it for the setup of your scene.